WWE SmackDown, Cody Rhodes win mess, Matt Cardona's pants, Brock Lesnar vs Femi or LAKnig? Cody Rhodes' controversial victory on SmackDown is exposing the most infuriating truth about WWE's booking philosophy right now. They're protecting their corporate champion at the expense of match quality and logical storytelling. But that's not even the biggest story from this week. Matt Cardona showed up wearing pants that have the entire wrestling world divided between laughing at him and questioning if WWE is deliberately sabotaging his comeback. And the Brock Lesnar situation? WWE is trying to decide between feeding him Femi destroying the most promising NXT call-up in years or giving him LAKnig in a match that makes no sense for Knight's momentum. This isn't just bad booking, this is WWE actively making decisions that harm their own roster to serve short-term corporate interests. Because what happened on SmackDown reveals a company in chaos, protecting some stars to the point of hurting their credibility, debuting others in ways that guarantee failure, and throwing together matches based on name recognition rather than storytelling logic. And fans are tired of watching talent get wasted by a company that claims to know better. Let's start with Cody Rhodes because his SmackDown victory against Apollo Crews exposed everything wrong with how WWE books their champions right now. On paper, Cody vs Apollo should have been a straightforward match. Champion gets a tune-up victory, looks strong, cuts a promo about WrestleMania. Standard stuff. Instead, what we got was a 15-minute match where Apollo Crews, who hasn't won a meaningful match in months, got about 70% of the offense against the undisputed WWE champion. Apollo dominated for huge stretches, hit multiple impressive moves, and came within a 2.9 count of pinning Cody Rhodes clean in the middle of the ring. The crowd was confused because WWE's booking sent mixed messages. Is Apollo secretly being pushed? If so, why has he been losing constantly? Is Cody vulnerable? If so, why is he still confidently aligned with the final dynasty? The match made nobody look good. But here's where it gets infuriating. Cody only won because the final dynasty music hit, distracting Apollo long enough for Cody to roll him up with a handful of tights. A champion won via distraction roll-up with illegal leverage against a mid-carder. That's not clever heel work, that's burying your champion's credibility. Social media exploded after this match because Cody Rhodes' booking since joining the final dynasty has been terrible. He's the WWE champion, but he rarely defends the title cleanly. Needs help from faction mates in non-title matches. Gets out-wrestled by mid-carders regularly. Shows vulnerability constantly despite being aligned with the most dominant group in WWE. This is the opposite of how you book a heel champion. Heel champions should be strong but use shortcuts to retain their titles. Cody is being booked as weak and needing shortcuts to beat guys like Apollo Crews who have no real standing in WWE's hierarchy. Wrestling analysts are calling this Roman Reigns booking without the payoff, making your champion look vulnerable to create drama, but never actually delivering the moment where he loses or gets his comeuppance. It's heat that goes nowhere and makes everyone involved look worse. One prominent wrestling journalist tweeted, "Cody's reign is making the WWE Championship feel less important than it was during the Roman Reigns era, which is remarkable considering Roman barely defended it. At least Roman felt important. Cody feels like a politician trying to hold onto power rather than a dominant champion." That's devastating criticism, and it's accurate. Cody's character work has been excellent. The conflicted champion corrupted by proximity to power is compelling, but the booking undermines it by making him look incompetent in the ring. Now let's talk about Matt Cardona because what WWE did to him on SmackDown might be the most baffling styling decision in modern wrestling. Matt Cardona returned after years away from WWE, built credibility on the independent scene, became the indie god character that showed his creative versatility, and came back to WWE with momentum and fan goodwill. And WWE put him in the most ridiculous pants wrestling fans have seen in years. These weren't gear designed to look cool or intimidating. These were shiny, ill-fitting pants that made Matt look like he was dressed by someone who'd never seen wrestling before. The color was described by one Twitter user as knocked-off PlayStation controller blue. The cut made them look like rejected costume pieces from a low-budget sci-fi movie. The crowd reaction was brutal. Instead of cheering Cardona's return, fans were laughing at his appearance. Chants of "change your pants" started within 30 seconds of his entrance. Commentary tried desperately to ignore it and focus on Cardona's in-ring work, but the damage was done. Matt Cardona has always had to fight against being seen as a comedy character because of his Zack Ryder days. He spent years rebuilding his credibility as a serious wrestler, and WWE immediately undercut all that work by dressing him like a joke. Here's where things get conspiratorial but worth discussing. Was Matt Cardona deliberately styled this way to undermine him? Some fans are suggesting that certain people in WWE's production or styling departments might have issues with Cardona either because he left WWE and succeeded elsewhere, or because he's spoken critically about WWE's creative process in the past. The evidence? Matt Cardona is a professional who's been wrestling for 15+ years. He knows what looks good and what doesn't. It's unlikely he walked into WWE and said, "Hey, can you make me pants that will get me laughed at? More likely, WWE's styling team made these pants, presented them as his gear, and either Cardona trusted their judgment or wasn't given another option. Multiple wrestlers have talked about how WWE's styling department sometimes makes bizarre choices that the wrestlers themselves question but have limited power to override, especially if you're not a top-level star with creative control clauses. One former WWE wrestler tweeted, then deleted, "Been there. You're given gear that looks ridiculous, you mention concerns, they tell you trust us it'll look great on camera, and then you get roasted on social media. Sometimes it feels intentional. Whether it's sabotage or just incompetence, the result is the same." Matt Cardona's WWE return, which should have been a triumphant moment, became a meme about his pants. To Matt Cardona's credit, he addressed the pants situation on social media with humor. "Y'all hate the pants? Good. When I'm WWE champion wearing these pants, you'll have to deal with it. Always bet on Cardona. That's the right attitude, own it, turn it into character work, make the ridicule part of your heel persona." But the fact that Cardona has to work this hard to overcome a styling decision WWE made for him is frustrating. Cardona shouldn't have to spend energy on damage control for something WWE's production team did. He should be focusing on in-ring work, promos, and storylines. Instead, his first week back is dominated by conversation about his pants rather than his talent. And here's the infuriating part: WWE has infinite resources. They have professional stylists, designers, and production people whose only job is making wrestlers look good on camera. How does something this bad make it to television? Either it's deliberate sabotage, in which case WWE is actively undermining their own talent for petty reasons, or it's incompetence, in which case WWE is wasting money on stylists who don't understand their job. Now let's get to the Brock Lesnar situation, because WWE is facing a decision that perfectly encapsulates their booking problems. Brock is returning for a limited number of dates before WrestleMania, and WWE needs to give him an opponent that 1. Makes Brock look dominant, because that's his brand, 2. Doesn't completely bury whoever loses to him, 3. Generates fan interest in pay-per-view buys. WWE is reportedly considering 2 options, Femi or LAKnig, and both options are terrible for different reasons. Let's start with Femi. He's the most impressive NXT call-up in years, physically dominant, credible, unique look, great in-ring psychology. WWE has positioned him carefully, giving him victories that establish him as a monster without overexposing him. But if you feed Femi to Brock Lesnar right now before Oba is fully established on the main roster, you're doing exactly what WWE always does, sacrificing long-term storytelling for a short-term Brock Lesnar match that nobody really needs. Brock doesn't need to beat Oba to look dominant. Everyone already knows Brock is dominant. But Oba needs protected booking to become a main event star. Having him lose to Brock before he's had signature main roster victories would damage his credibility potentially beyond repair. The LAKnig option is equally problematic, but for different reasons. LAKnig is over with fans. His "yet" catchphrase gets massive reactions. He's positioned as a tough-talking brawler who backs up his words. He's someone WWE should be protecting and elevating. So why would you have him lose to Brock Lesnar? What does that accomplish? LAKnight's entire character is based on confidence and the belief that he can beat anyone. Having him get destroyed by Brock, which is what would happen because WWE isn't going to have Brock lose on a random SmackDown, undermines everything that makes LAKnig compelling. And the timing makes it worse. LAKnig just got exposed in the Logan Paul storyline as the person who was taking money to attack Braun Breaker. His character is already damaged. Having him immediately get squashed by Brock would be WWE giving up on him entirely. So WWE's options are: ruin a promising NXT call-up's momentum, or further damage an already hurt main roster star. These are the choices WWE has created for themselves because they refuse to build deep enough rosters that they have expendable opponents for Brock without sacrificing important characters. Here's the fundamental problem: WWE books for moments rather than stories. They want the moment of Brock Lesnar returns and destroys someone. They want the moment of Cody Rhodes barely escapes with a win. They want the moment of Matt Cardona comes back. But they don't think about the story that comes after those moments. After Brock destroys Femi or LAKnig, then what? After Cody looks vulnerable against mid-carders every week, then what? After fans laugh at Matt Cardona's pants for his entire first month back, then what? WWE operates on a week-to-week basis, trying to create social media buzz and short-term ratings pops, without considering how these decisions impact their roster's long-term credibility. Multiple former WWE writers have talked about this in interviews. They're encouraged to think about this week's show, not 3 months from now. Plans change constantly based on Vince's whims, historically, or current management's preferences. Continuity is considered less important than the immediate impact. This is why WWE can have the best roster in wrestling history talent-wise, but still produce booking that frustrates fans who want coherent, long-term storytelling. WWE's problems with the Brock situation expose a deeper issue: they don't have enough protected midcard heels to feed to part-timers without hurting important characters. In a well-booked company, you'd have 3 to 4 credible heels who are positioned as dangerous but not crucial to main storylines. These are the guys you can feed to Brock, Cena, Rock, or other part-timers without causing long-term damage. But WWE has spent years either not building credible midcard heels at all, building them and then jobbing them out repeatedly, elevating them too quickly to the main event where they become too valuable to sacrifice. So when Brock comes back, WWE looks at their roster and realizes, we don't have anyone we can afford to lose to him without hurting our plans. That's a roster management failure that's been years in the making. Here's what WWE should do but won't: for Cody, book him to win clean more often. Yes, he's a heel, but he's the WWE champion. He should be beating midcarders decisively to establish that he's excellent in-ring, even if he uses shortcuts against top competition. For Matt Cardona, immediately get in new gear, acknowledge the pants were a statement but he's moving on, and focus on rebuilding his credibility through wins and good promos. For Brock, create a new character specifically to be Brock's opponent. Bring someone up from NXT, give them a monster push for 3 weeks, have them look dangerous, then have Brock beat them. That person's job is done. They took the Brock loss so that Femi and LAKnig don't have to. But WWE won't do this because it requires planning and patience and accepting that not every storyline will be perfect. They'd rather sacrifice established characters for short-term convenience. Cody Rhodes won on SmackDown, but the match made him look weak and desperate. Matt Cardona returned in pants that turned him into a laughingstock and undermined years of credibility building. And WWE is choosing between feeding Brock Lesnar either a promising NXT star or a damaged main roster character because they've failed to build roster depth. This is WWE in 2026: incredible talent, unlimited resources, and baffling booking decisions that seem designed to frustrate fans and waste potential. Cody's reign is disappointing. Cardona's return is a meme. And Brock's comeback is going to hurt someone who doesn't deserve it. What's your take? Should Cody be booked stronger as champion? Were the pants deliberate sabotage? Who should Brock face: Femi, LAKnig, or someone else entirely? Explode in the comments, because these booking decisions have fans divided and frustrated. If this breakdown connected all of WWE's problems, smash the like button and share everywhere. Subscribe to Wrestling News CC because we'll continue covering WWE's booking chaos as we head toward WrestleMania. The talent deserves better, the fans deserve better, and somebody needs to hold WWE accountable for wasting both.